Okay, in the interest of making sure that we respect everyone's time, thank you very much for joining me today. We're going to jump right into this masterclass on how to design engaging homework and worksheets for your students. So before I start, a little bit about myself. I'm from South Africa. I have approximately, well, I've just crossed over into my 30th year of international teaching and leadership experience. I've taught in international schools, and I've also been a school leader at international schools in South Africa, Qatar, China, including both Beijing and Qingdao, Singapore, and Dubai. I've led face-to-face teacher training workshops in Mumbai, Delhi, Shanghai, Hong Kong, Bangalore, Jakarta, and Singapore. And I've facilitated more than 40 online workshops. I'm a workshop developer, and I'm a consultant with the International Baccalaureate organization, commonly known as the IB. I'm passionate about student learning and about professionally developing teachers, which is why I'm really excited to have this session with you today about homework and being able to engage students appropriately. I'm currently a consultant education specialist, a teacher trainer, and I'm also an employability coach with Suraasa. So let's, before we start, a couple of important things. Have a notebook available to take notes. Okay. There will be a question and answer session at the end of the session. Please feel free to use the chat room to write your questions for the Q&A session. This is a masterclass designed to give you exposure to the best practices in designing homework that engages students. So just use the opportunity to learn about these best practices, because it does improve your pedagogy. Okay, some of the key takeaways from today's session. Why is homework important? What is the importance of homework in promoting engagement in students? How to develop a differentiation mindset? What are the different types of homework to promote engagement and interest in students? What questions can I ask myself when designing engaging worksheets and activities? How can I upskill and develop my ability to be a teacher who engages my students effectively? Now, before we start, I'd like to learn a little bit about your practices. What do you do as a teacher? So firstly, in the chat room, okay, I'm monitoring the chat room right now. Do you think that homework is important? Yes or no? Go. Excellent. I see a lot of people giving me yeses. Okay, so what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to get to, okay, now I'm going to get to the why. All right, and I don't need you to write it down in the chat room. And what I will do is I will be asking a few people for their responses. Okay, Alia Khan, can you unmute yourself, please, and tell me why you think homework is important?
Hello, David.
Hello. Hi.
I think homework is important because it keeps them in touch with what they have done in the classroom.
Okay, perfect. So it keeps them in touch with what's happening in the classroom. Ms. Vijaya Lakshmi, are you there? Can you unmute yourself and tell me why you think homework is important?
I think homework is important to reinforce their understanding what has been done in class. So that reinforcement is very important.
Okay, Rafia.
I think it will increase the learner's learning skill, and it will give some more activeness in their learning process.
Excellent. Very, very nice. And let's get one more person. Arshad. Javaria Arshad. Oh, I see Ms. Neetu Metha raising a hand. Go on, Ms. Neetu.
Yeah, it's a way where teacher can understand how much the child understand the topic all about, and if any doubt the child has due to that homework thing, he can get to know, and the teacher can get to know what the doubts are.
Excellent. So something about working out the doubts and the areas of the syllabus and learning that's unclear. Very, very good. And I saw Ms. Priyanka. Oh, Ms. Priyanshu, I saw your hand up also.
Yes.
Go.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just I was about to give the same answer that for the reinforcement, because it is important for a child to revise the concepts, what the teacher has already taught in the class. And
Excellent.
that the homework is mandatory.
Very, very nice. Afreen, I see your answer saying reinforcement also. I see some people would the answer, Sarah, you said to ensure the learning process. Very good. Now, obviously, as we get into the session today, we are going to be looking at some deeper reasons. What makes effective homework? And we'll be looking at that in more detail. But before we do that, I'd like to get to know a little bit more about your practice. Which of the following tasks do you give to your students for homework? Now, I've created, here's a poll that's going on, okay? So question number 1, textbook questions. Go for it. I see a number of people, very good. Lots of participation. Well done, guys. Enjoying your participation. It seems like worksheets are the top performer. So, right. So basically, these are all of the activities that have been out there. I see 1 or 2 people saying, I don't give homework. There's a range of us. There are some people, about 31% of our group are saying other activities. Very, very good. But it seems that worksheets seem to be the most popular and followed by textbook questions. All right, very, very good. Now, this sets the basis by which we will be able to look at homework and its importance in engaging students. All right, so let's start. So what is the importance of homework in promoting engagement of students? Now, before we even look at that, we need to find out when does homework promote authentic engagement? Because if we know that, then we'll be able to design activities that are able to get students to be engaged authentically. Okay, number 1, it's when it allows students to reinforce their learning through well-planned application questions. Number 2, promotes independence. This is where the student is not dependent on you, but it promotes independence and making students partners in the learning process. Number 3, promotes inquiry and creativity. This is making them inquire into why things happen in terms of the learning that they've had in the class, but more importantly, in the why behind how it applies to real life. Number 4, allows students to identify their areas of strength and their areas of weakness, and allows them to see the areas that they've progressed in and the gaps in their learning, so that they can set a plan for improving their learning. is given importance in the learning process and treated as a formative assessment, meaning that you don't give any summative grades for it. You realize that you're using homework as a formative assessment opportunity, giving students a chance to make a mistake, fixing it, and allowing themselves to grow in the process. It promotes regular parental involvement. Now, when we talk about regular parental involvement, we're not asking about students, about parents being involved in the process every single day, but it does allow for parents to have be able to contribute to the work that their students are presenting or preparing. And this means having activities that are designed that will allow them to say, why don't you ask your mom and dad, what do they do at work that may help them to solve the problem that you've given them? Is differentiated to the needs of individual students. Requires students to be active rather than passive, not just sitting behind a computer. Is well planned by the teacher and considers the time realistically required by students. One of the biggest complaints that students and parents have had in my time as an administrator is the fact that homework took too much of time and the teacher didn't think through the amount of time it took for the homework to be completed. And lastly, it considers the well-being of the students. You don't get them to sit down hours and hours and hours doing your homework without considering the fact that they need to be balanced. They need to have the time to rest, the time to stretch, the time to be active, all of those kind of things. Now, scientists and educators all around the world think all of these are important, but the one thing that comes up most frequently is this one. Homework is differentiated to the needs of individual students. Now, it's interesting, right? Because when we think about differentiation, most of us as educators, we think about differentiation in terms of what we're doing in the classroom, in terms of the teaching that we do. But is the homework that you give to students differentiated? What does that mean? It simply means giving students a choice and a voice. Let's explore this a little bit more. How can we make homework more engaging? Well, the key is to plan your homework and your worksheets or any other activity that you have in students to take with them to complete at home outside the classroom with a differentiation mindset. Now, obviously, one may ask, what is a differentiation mindset? So here's some considerations that you as a teacher could use for cultivating a differentiation mindset. A few things for you to consider. Number one, does it really give students choice and a voice in the product that you're asking them to produce? Have you used assessment data when you designed your homework activities? Have you considered learning styles and thinking levels? Have you thought about the interests of students and possibly their type of intelligence? Howard Gardner has identified 8 and now 9 types of intelligence, including naturalistic and mathematical. Have you considered these? Have you considered the content that you want to include in the homework activity that you'd like students to engage with? What about the process? What steps do you want students to take in the completion of their homework? Have you been clear about that? What about the product? Thinking about the first one, where it gives students choice and voice, have you given students an opportunity to choose a product that best suits their interests, their thinking levels, their learning styles? And lastly, have you considered whether students are really enjoying the homework? These are the effective needs of the students. Are they enjoying the homework? Are they looking forward to the next time they get homework? Is it hands-on? Does it drive to and drive to their passions? And does it pull out areas of their character that can grow through this homework? Well, let's have a look at the different types of homework then, because when you look at cultivating a differentiation mindset, it comes down then to looking at what kind of homework can you set. Now, there's a wide range of different types of homework activities that one can give. However, two big categories that emerge from the categories of homework that a teacher can give are traditional. This is one that's generally used by teachers. And the other one is personalized, which is actually zoning in on the differentiated mindset. Now let's have a look before we go on in the chat room. Okay, can you give me some examples of traditional homework activities that a teacher can give? Good, thank you, Asmad. Worksheet activities, good. Question and answer. Solve the activities. Problem solving, good, good, good. Excellent. Worksheets. Textbook questions. I see worksheets coming up quite a bit. I agree. These are traditional. And let's jump over to looking. Okay, but before we even go over to personalized, let's look at some of the traditional activities that can be used. There you go. Worksheets, textbook exercises, flipped classroom is a very common traditional homework activity. Research, projects, literature reviews, reports. These are very, very commonly used forms of homework. Now let's go back. Can you guys give me some types of homework that you think may be personalized? Meaning, going back to the differentiated mindset. Venn diagrams, I like that, Lamas, good. Role plays, very nice. Excellent. Now let's go to, I want to look at the role plays, okay? And Arul, can you tell me a little bit about how would you ask students to show you a role play?
Good afternoon, sir.
Hi, good afternoon.
Actually, my name is Vani. I'm one of your students.
Oh, Vani. Okay. How are you, Vani?
Yeah, I'm good, sir.
I didn't see the name there. I just saw Arul at the bottom. Yeah, good, good, good. Go on.
Okay, sir. Actually, I have, sometimes I'm giving some kinds of homework, like the students, like if if for the EVS and all, like we have to introduce different kinds of jobs. So the students who are interested, they can be act as a policeman, and they can tell something about that, what is their responsibilities, and the doctors, nurses, like that. And they can, like the parents can take a small video about them. So we will display that in the classroom. So
Good,
it might
good.
be
Very nice. So here's the thing, right? I want to go to Shruti's answer. Shruti has said, hi, Shruti. How are you?
Hi, Mr. David. I'm fine.
Good,
How are
good.
you, sir?
You said you'd like to use a video, right? Record a video.
Yes.
All right. My question is, how can this go? So before I even ask you for why you said that, I have a trick question for you, right?
Okay.
All right. And the trick question is, how can this go really wrong?
Well, yes, this can go wrong, and it has gone wrong. So if the student does not understand the expectations of the teacher, then it can really go wrong.
Very good. Very, very good. Excellent. Great answer. Thank you so much. Lamas, storytelling. How would you ask them to show you this storytelling for homework?
Like, let's say we had a story in the classroom, and I want to make sure that they got the concept, that they got the ideas, the events. Then I will ask them to record a video doing the story as a role play, and then retelling the story through role play. That's how I will understand that they understood the events and everything.
Very nice. I like that. Bindu, you said poem writing. Okay. Would you only use this in an English class, or would you use it elsewhere?
Hello?
Hi, Bindu. I can hear you. Yes. Would you only use this in an English class, or could you use it in other subjects as well?
Dialogue writing I use in science class.
In science class. Good. Now I'm looking at the poem. You said poem, right? Poem, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. For example, even one student has prepared also like
Good.
that.
So which type of student do you think may choose a poem for homework?
Above average level students only are trying. Others are not interested.
Okay, so you're saying that only the ones that are really interested in a poetry writing approach to their homework may do it, right?
Yes, yes. Sure,
Good.
sir.
I'm glad you used the word, because that word is such an important word, interested, because you need to make sure that the homework that you design actually creates or attracts the student.
Yes, sir.
And goes right down to their interest levels. Good. Now, Saida, you said fun activities. What are some of the fun activities that you can give to students? Hello, Saida, are you there? All right, not a problem. But I like the idea of fun activities. I'd like to explore that a little bit. Deepika, I see your hand up.
Thank you, Mr. Desai, giving me opportunity.
No
I think
problem.
fun activity includes something with craft. They can make something. For example, if I'm teaching sustainable development, I will tell them to make something creative that can show any goal of sustainable development.
Nice.
So it is fun also, and at the same time they are gaining knowledge also.
I like the fact that you spoke about creativity, right? And you know, for those of us that are teaching, know that creativity takes us right to the top end of Bloom's taxonomy, right? So this is pushing the student. Now, obviously, a student could actually create something very simple if you did not give them proper guidance. Ajay, I see your hand raised. Welcome.
Yeah, hello, David, sir.
Good.
Yeah, actually, the fun activities in Max, I can give a puzzles or a bingo kind of thing. And also
Right.
tic-tac-toe also, it will be a good start for the kids.
Nice. And you know, gamifying learning is a great way of getting kids interested, right? Good.
Yeah.
Very good. So let's look at some examples. Now, research has shown that personalized or differentiated mindset kind of activities can be broken up into a range of big categories. And these categories are arts and crafts, outdoor activities, games and activities, physical activities, digital activities, and even sometimes business related or community service activities. Now, I want to talk a little bit about each one of these, but what I want right now is to get a few people to raise their hand for the following question. Is there any one of these that catch your attention? As if you were going to be doing homework from a teacher, which one would you want to do? Let's hear. Okay, so I'd like you to raise your hands if you have an answer for me. Archie, go. Hello, Archie, are you there?
Yes, sir, I am here.
Okay, which one would you choose? Which one catches your attention?
The outdoor activities and the art and craft activities catches my attention.
Okay, why the outdoor activities? Why?
Outdoor activities develop the students' growth and also the mental health. Like they are very interactive. They are not going outdoor just because they are using the technology. And they are playing the games on the mobile. That's why I want that they have to go outdoor activities.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Thank you for the answer. But I want everyone else to answer the question from the lens of, if you were the student and if you were given these range of activities, okay, which one would you choose? Shruti, go.
I would choose games and activities because personally, I have faced this challenge because my students would play Minecraft a lot, and I had to learn to play the game to understand their language and to understand them better. So I would go with board games and educational software.
All right, Gloria. Hello, Gloria. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Good morning, Mr. David.
Good afternoon. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well this morning in Nigeria.
Oh, cool. All right, I agree with you. It's morning in Nigeria. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for the opportunity.
No
okay,
problem.
for me, being an early years educator, my kids I teach are between ages 3 to 5. And being that I've understood how they learn, their learning style is play. So I'll prefer the game that requires them to move their bodies, move from place to place, lay their hands on something, because it helps them develop their gross motor skills, fine motor skills. So we have games that helps us to play and then they learn in the process. Thank you.
So thank you so much, Gloria. But now for the people coming up, okay, I want you to think about this. Forget about your students in your class. I'd like you to think about which one appeals to you as a learner. If you were given homework right now by me, which one would be the one that you're really attracted to? Deepika, go.
I would prefer outdoor activities and community services.
Good.
Because
why
in this
community
way,
service?
Because they are reaching out to the community. They will come to know the problems people are facing. It can be going to the old age home. It can be going to the orphanage. It can be going to some other place where they can connect with people. I think it is very important for students to understand the problems that are there in the society. In this way, they will be able to develop some problem solving skills.
Okay.
They will be able to develop social skills, and they will be able to connect their learning with real life. But they are learning in the classroom.
Thank you,
sir.
Thank you. Apurva, which one appeals to you as a learner?
So personally, I think digital activities and art and craft will engage me more, because this way I'll be actually practically performing some activity and I won't get bored basically.
So what type of learner are you? Are you a auditory learner or a kinesthetic learner? Which one?
I'm a kinesthetic learner.
Ah, there you go, right? And there's a point to be made here, right? The point is that you chose something that appealed to your style of learning, right? And this is important, that as we start to design activities, are we catering to the needs of students in our classrooms?
Exactly.
One more, Saida. Hi, Saida, can you hear me? Okay, Priyanshu.
Yes, Mr. David, thank you. Personally, if you ask me, I will be going for the community services because I love gardening, and usually right in Dubai, didn't get an opportunity to keep a dog, but usually in India we have dogs, so taking out for a walk. And yes, if you ask me on the perspective of that to the students will be actually engaged in the empathy. They will be learning the empathy. They will be learning the real life situation problems and how to deal with it.
Okay, so guys, are you sensing the what's happening here? Every one of us has one or two that really appeals to us. You like, if I was a learner, that's exactly what I would want to do. For me, if I had to choose one right now, I'll do community service because I love helping people, right? And others may say, I'd love to go outdoors because I love to be active, or I like to create things with my hands, therefore arts and crafts. Are you creating activities for homework that appeals to students in this way? That's the meaning of the word differentiated mindset. Okay, Sandhya, one more and then we'll move on.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Sir, yeah, as a science person, I think being a teacher, I think, for example, if I have to give my children's activity on germination, okay, so I would like to pair my students first. Okay, according to their ability, I would like to pair my students and take an activity from physical activity as well as the digital. So my students who are good in hands-on activity, they can germinate the seed and observation and all, where they can combine, collate and make a presentation, because now we are going on with the blended learning, right? So all our students are well versed with that, where they can make it as a project. Because sir, when it considered to be individual presentation, they are very good. Most of the schools, they are good. The kids are good in their individual presentation where they're taking help from their parents. But when it comes to teamwork, in this scenario, teamwork is really a challenge for us, because half of our students are not there together, right? So yes, so and again in our coming projects and even in our MNCs and all, everywhere, even in our schools, it is very hard for the teachers to be in a team. So
Very
I think
nice.
that will be a good approach when we are including teamwork in their project. That is what
Excellent.
I feel.
No, very good. I mean, and again, you've seen the needs. You based your, you see, again, you told me something that's based on the needs of your school and your school community and your students, which is great. That's what personalized learning or homework is. It's based on a differentiated mindset. Is it designed for my students?
Yes.
Okay, it's not about whether it's because someone in the US or India or Africa said it's good, I should do it. No, it needs to be something that meets the needs of your students. Okay, well done, guys. Really, really impressed by everyone's contributions. I hope you're finding this conversation stimulating in terms of thinking about the kind of activities you can design that implement a differentiated mindset. Okay, good. So something for you to consider. And this is extremely important, guys. In order for any homework to be meaningful and engaging for students, it should check out these points. Take a moment to read them. Breathe them in, because they are the essence of making homework meaningful and engaging. Okay, I want to talk through a couple of them, and these are all important. But number one, if you don't give, someone said it earlier, if you don't give students clear instructions, you could end up making the homework activity very, very confusing for a student. But that means having clear expectations, where you clearly articulate what the expectations are. And guys, the best way to be able to share expectations is in the form of writing. Okay, it shouldn't be verbal, because there's a number of students in your class who are not verbal learners or auditory learners. Okay, have a rubric. The rubric gives very clear descriptors about the different levels. Make sure that you've shown them that the homework is important, that you've taken the time to make a marking key. Very, very important. If you are setting homework for something that has not been covered in class, then we're not meeting the expectations of homework that can meaningfully engage students. We never set homework on things that are not covered in class. And the point is that if you are setting it on work already learned, then it should be about to reinforce, like people said earlier. It should not be busy work. Busy work is a word that's used in the West, but let me explain to you what it means. It means just to keep students busy. All right. So things like crossword puzzles and puzzles for word search activities, while they may have value, okay, if you're giving students a lot of that to do, it's just busy work. And lastly, It allows choices. It allows students to make a choice about how they want to present their homework in terms of their abilities, their thinking levels, their learning styles, their interests, and so on. Okay. Yes, Prem. Yes, Prema.
Thank you, sir. I have a question. As for this slide, how is it that we make a rubric or a marking key for a homework assignment? Could you help guide us through, please?
Yeah, absolutely. So basically, if you have said, thank you. Okay, right. Now, in order for you to create a rubric, right? I'm not going to go into too much of detail, all right? But in order for you to create a rubric, you need to create a marking scale. And you need to be able to say what a student must do for each criteria that's being assessed to be able to get a 1, a 2, or 3. So it basically means coming up with a grid that will give students a very clear indication of what they must do to be able to achieve that level on the rubric. Does that answer your question, Pema?
So it's not directly related to assessment, right? It is just for instruction.
No, absolutely. Good one, right? Now, remember, rubrics are used for a wide range of things, including summative assessments, right? But you could use rubrics for formative assessments. Am I right?
Yes, you are.
Yeah, and this is the example of where you can use a rubric for homework as a formative assessment.
Thank you, sir. I got
Good.
the point.
And the marking key is simply, if you give them a question, if you give them a task, you should know what's expected. Write down the answers so that when you give students the chance to check each other's work, like in peer assessment or peer conversation around the homework task, they know exactly what they're looking for. Okay?
Thank you so much, sir.
Great question. Great question. Thank you. All right, let's go on. So 5 questions to ask in order for you to create engaging homework and worksheets. You could even call it steps if you wanted to. Okay? 5 steps or 5 questions that you can ask. Number 1, is the task allowing students to apply work already covered in class? That's your first checkpoint. Number 2, have you provided students clear instructions and expectations? Guys, this is especially important for EAL students, students that do not have English as their first language. Number 3, have I provided a rubric and clear descriptors for each achievement level? So the student knows, if I do this, I'll get a 1. If I did that, I will get a 3. Okay, so there's no confusion. And especially when you are having an opportunity to share with a student why they got a 1 or 3, you can use the rubric for that discussion. Does the task allow student choice and cater for different levels, learning styles, etc.? And lastly, do you have a marking key? And have you created opportunities for feedback? Okay, I can assure you that having taught for 30 years, if you follow these steps, you will be creating some amazing homework activities that students will come back to you for and say, please, miss, can you give me one more activity like this? I really enjoyed what I did. Now, let's do some practice. Are you guys ready? Okay, I'd like you to use, and in the chat room right now, one of my colleagues is putting the web address of this Padlet. Okay, so it's being put on right now. There you go. All right. Important that as you get on, you need to wait for the case studies to come up, right? This is a, by the way, these instructions are also on the Padlet. All right, and I'll be looking at the Padlet as we go through it. All right, once you get on there, I'd like you to answer these 7 questions basically for the case study that you have selected. Since we only have 5 minutes for this activity, all right, you will choose one. But if you are a fast worker, feel free to go to the second case study or scenario. Okay, here you go. There's the scenarios. Have a look at them. I'm going to leave this on the screen, and I'd like you to take some time to answer the 7 parts of the questions that I've laid out, or the 7 questions related to the case study that you selected. Padlet link for those people that don't want to use the QR code is already on in the chat room. Good. Very nice. Good. Can I double check? Is anyone having problems accessing the Padlet?
Can you repeat this, sir?
All right. So is anyone having problems accessing the Padlet? So this task is for you to look at I can see a few people that have started to post on the Padlet. All right, we got about 3 minutes left. All right. Tara, you having a problem?
No, sir.
Oh, okay. All good. Okay, thank you. Right. I'd like to encourage you to start looking at using this scenario, okay, and completing the Padlet even after this masterclass has been completed, right? So let's have a look at a couple of things first. Number 1, let's look at scenario number 1. You have just taught a lesson on the parts of a flower, all right, to your grade 4 class. During the lesson, students watched a video on the parts of a flower and their functions. You then gave them a worksheet during class. You've decided to set some homework to reinforce what students learned in class. All right, let's start. Hands up. Let's see who would like to give me some answers about what kind of tasks could you give them, but I'd like you to choose a differentiated mindset task. Any volunteers? Go. Okay, if you'd like to volunteer, please put your hands up. Thank you, Shruti. Go. Thank you, Bindu.
Okay, so Mr. David, I think I could give them a quizzes.
Yeah, go on.
A quizzes link wherein there's a quiz with questions related to the video that they saw, and depending on like we can differentiate in the quizzes as well. We can like keep it as an option to go to the next page. It is, they can choose.
Okay, so you give them choices to kind of, once they've met the first level, to move on to the second level. Is that what you mean?
Yes.
Okay, good idea. That'll stretch the children that are able to move and have a higher thinking ability or thinking level. Good. Arti.
Yes, David sir. I will give the students to that they draw the parts of the flowers, flower diagrams, and different flowers. So they will know that the parts of easily understand to the parts of the flowers.
Okay, so you'll give them a drawing activity.
Yes, drawing, like I will give them the art activity.
An art activity for grade 4, right? I think that's a great place. But how
And
will you
after
know?
that, I will give them the question that they have to describe the flower.
Ah, very good. How do you know whether they understand the parts of the flower? You've answered that, okay? So obviously you've taken care of the writers and the drawers.
Yes, characteristics and the importance of the flower. They like that they have to answer.
Good. Katib.
Yes, sir. So we could differentiate the activity, the first scenario, wherein we could give some students a diagram of the flower to label the parts. But some students could be asked to bring a flower and actually show the parts and speak about it. And some students could be given, can be asked to draw the parts of the different parts of the flower.
Very nice. I see you've taken care of different levels. Which one of those three do you think would be the most, would be for the challenging, to challenge the most, the higher ability students in your class?
The drawing, actually.
The drawing of the part. Okay. All right. Good, good, good. Now, what I'd like to do is, I'd like to now go on to scenario number 2. All right. Before we move on. And scenario number 2 talks about having taught the math lesson in class about area and perimeter, but you want to give them a project that will allow the students to reinforce their understanding, but also challenge some of the high flyers. Any thoughts around what kind of project you will give them to do at home? Sandhya.
Yes, sir. Sure. When it comes to area and perimeter, the first level of students, or else we can tell all of them can create a shape and find out the perimeter and calculate the area by giving the sides, each measurement of each sides, and they can create it. Okay. Then my second, when it goes to the next level, we can just make them, we can just tell them to cut out, we can just mention some particular specification for a picture, then we can make them to cut out the pieces. We can make them as a tangram or something where specific shapes are there and where they can cut, create and stick and find out the values. And for my high achievers, I can give them, specify them a square piece of paper, then I can just mention them to cut it according to the proper specifications and create a shape so that the area will be clear to them, because already they are using with a specific square shaped paper, and they can calculate the perimeter from there.
Nice. Now, what word did you use in your high flyer activity that told me that you were going to the highest level of Bloom's taxonomy?
Yes, sir. Exactly. I'm just cooperating Bloom's taxonomy over there.
Yeah, but what word did you use in your task that tells me that you were going to the highest level of Bloom's taxonomy? Do you remember?
Bloom's taxonomy. Can I take a 1 minute, sir?
Okay, but anyway, the word you used is create. To create, it's the highest level of Bloom's taxonomy, right? And if you do this well, you really will be challenging your high flyers in the class, okay? Good. Katib, over to you.
Yes.
So a project could be actually, they could be asked to create a box taking pieces of different area, cutting out pieces of different area and create the box with that.
Ah, good. And what about your high flyers? What would you do for them?
I didn't really think about it. Give me a
Okay, I'd like to challenge you guys to think about it. This is where the rubber hits the road, right? This is where you start to challenge yourself and you learn how you can actually get back to this activity here. All right, right there. There's a bunch of activities here. How can you use them to personalize that stretch level for individual students in the class? And so basically, now moving forward, thank you guys for your contributions. I see quite a few very interesting examples on the Padlet. Well done, everyone. Okay, so you want to learn to be an effective teacher. Okay, you want to engage your students and you can improve your learning. How can you do this effectively? Suraasa can help you to do this. Okay, we offer a range of continuous professional development courses, but we also offer a teacher qualification course called the pgctl. Okay, and so the range of qualifications and courses and credits offered by Suraasa are firstly and most importantly awarded by the UK authority called the ATHE. It's regulated by the UK Ofqual. This is the organization that deals with qualification of, the quality and the accreditation of qualifications. It's accepted here in Dubai by the KHDA. It's recognized by many nations and trusted by many international schools as teaching qualifications that meet a global standard. Okay, now why the PGCTL? Number one, it's self-paced, it's online, and you can access it anywhere through an app. Number two, it includes, after you've gone through 4 modules or 4 months, you suddenly have access to an employability enhancement program, which allows you to build skills around preparing for an interview, building your profile and your CV, and having your CV showcased to our partner schools. Well-crafted assignments that help you build your skills portfolio and speaks for itself to future employers. And lastly, a 10-month course that is globally recognized and internationally accredited and is at a bachelor's level qualification. These are some of the additional advantages and benefits which I've already mentioned. And this is what the PGCTL looks like in essence. It offers you 10 modules that covers a wide range of pedagogy-related skills, which is teaching and learning, going back to things like lesson planning, reflective teaching, the management of your class, how learning theories and how you implement it to improve learning, and so on. So in essence, the PGCTL is 10 modules. It's 10 months at a minimum. Okay. It allows you pathways for specialist teachers, math, science, English. And lastly, it allows you to create a lifelong evidence skills-based portfolio that you will take with you whenever you are changing jobs and need to apply for a new job. So some of the links that you can check out, here you go. We have an admission brochure and our prospectus. You can get more information using these QR codes on the PGCTL, and you can visit our website to find out a wide range or information about the wide range of qualifications and courses that we offer. Of course, you can visit our Facebook community page and also tune in to the Suraasa podcast. And that brings me to the end of my presentation. I'd now like to open up to question and answers. Okay? A question and answer time. So if you have a question, please feel free to ask your question so that me or one of my team members, I have Mr. Umar Farouk, who's here from our team, who is able to answer questions related to the pgctl in particular. And he's from our sales team. All right, questions for me related to anything related to homework, designing proper homework or worksheets, and I'll take those questions and I'll answer them. And Mr. Farouk will answer any questions related to the pgctl. All right, Gloria, go.
Thank you, Mr. David. I wanted to ask if you have a template or a format to design these worksheets. Do you have any?
I have the steps that will be shared as part of this presentation, okay? And it will be shared by my colleagues to all of the attendees here, okay?
Thank you so much.
No problem, absolutely. Any other questions? So that means one of two things, right? It's either I've done an amazing...
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah. Go on.
So is it helpful in the professional growth with pgctl?
Is it helpful in your professional growth? But let me answer that from one angle, and then I'll hand over to Mr. Umar, who can do the other side, okay? But from a professional side, remember the pgctl is soaked in best practice when it comes to teaching and learning. Every aspect, every one of the modules takes you back into being able to bring each of those learnings that you've learned and the theories that you learn about and put them into practice, which is really about improving student learning through your practices in the classroom. So does that answer your question?
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Do you have a question for Mr. Umar? If you do, okay, he would be more than happy to answer, or anyone else, right? Okay. I see Gloria, your hand is up again.
Yes, please. My question is for Mr. Umar, though I dropped it on the chat box. I was asking what's the cost of the pgctl, and is it possible also, if I know the cost, to take the course, the payment instrumentally when I find out how much it will cost?
Good.
Thank you.
And I think that's a general question and not a very specific question. For me, I'd like to suggest that my teammates will be putting a link very soon for you to contact our sales team and one of our counselors that will be able to give you information related to the pgctl that's specific to you. Am I right, Mr. Umar?
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you so much, Mr. David, for this wonderful session and introducing me. So all of you, first of all, thank you so much for joining this session. So like Mr. David rightly said, that fee structure and all, we'll surely want to discuss that with you. But before we get into those details, we want to understand what are your goals. And we will like to see that whether our pgctl program is the best fit for your career goals or not. So according to that, we'll see that what are your career goals, first of all. Then we see that whether your past qualifications are in tune with your future goals or not. Then finally, when your counselor will have all the details, so then we will come to this discussion about your fee structure, because there are certain scholarships also, which are based on your past qualifications, your years of experience. So overall, the final fee structure can only be discussed over a counseling session. And in order to book that counseling session, I have already dropped a link in the chat. You have to do nothing, just drop your mail ID and your name and choose any date and time which is possible for you. And one of our counselors, which can be me as well, will connect with you, and we will surely love to have a proper discussion of around 20 minutes with you. Is that okay, Gloria?
Yes, it is, sir. I'm already filling the form.
There you go.
Wonderful.
Very effective, Mr. Umar. Good job. She's already filling in the form, right? Good. Mudassir.
Wonderful.
Sir, good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Sir, I want to ask that, sir, if I join from another country, like basically I belongs to India. Right now I'm in Ras Al Khaimah, UAE. So 1 year ago I talked to the Indian mentor, and last week I talked to UAE mentor. So is there any differences, sir, if I join through the Indian mentor or from UAE mentor, sir?
No, we all belong to the same team. Okay.
Same.
You have people that will look at your case through the lens of you being in India or versus being in the UAE, but the questions are the same. We want to get to understand you, get to know your needs, and whether the pgctl will meet your needs. Mr. Umar, does that make sense?
Absolutely. So, Mr. Mudassir, what happens is that these teams are only different. We try to work very closely with all the people, all the students around the globe. So it does not matter whether you are in India or you are in UAE. So if you are getting in touch with a counselor, you will surely be guided in the proper way. It does not matter. Another thing is that whosoever is counseling you, they will still guide you towards the same program. It's not like that I am in India and I will be counseling you towards a different program, and some counselor in UAE will be guiding you towards a different program. At the end of the day, our goal is that your goals are fulfilled, and we'll make sure that they do.
Okay, one more question I have, Umar sir.
Yes.
Actually, sir, the person who counseled for me in India, so he included professional certificates in teaching learning and UK 6 level 6 diploma in teaching, 10-month online mentor, and full access to the learning module. Okay, the
Right.
person who counseled me in UAE, so she included 6K HDA, accepted mandatory professional and pedagogic assessment material, assistant in writing your reflective statement. So
absolutely,
yeah.
Absolutely.
So both are differences. The person who counseled me in India, he did not include 3 points in a qualification include. That's why I'm asking, sir.
Okay, now remember, okay, Mr. Umar, you can take over, answer that question.
Yeah. So what happens, Mr. Mudassir, basically these are country-specific certifications that are required. For example, if a person has a goal of going to UAE as a teacher, so the 6 MPD reflective statement, these are, country-specific. Particularly when we talk to students in India, and if the student says that, yes, I have a goal of moving to this country, then is the point of making this discussion. But anyways, if you're not having this discussion, still in your program, it will be included. It is not like that you will take the program from India and you will not get it. You will get all the things that the student from UAE, that the student from Africa, or if Gloria is joining, she will also get the same things. If I am joining from India, I'm getting the same things. It will not create any difference. But because these things are specific to country, that's why maybe the counselor didn't mention it. And when you were talking to a counselor in UAE, that is why she particularly mentioned it. Otherwise, there is no change. All the things are mentioned are included. 6 MPD reflective statement, everything is included.
Okay, sir. Last doubt, please.
Yes.
Sir, the mentor for my India, he showed me a three years last scholarship EMI basis, and the person who is who counseled me in UAE, she said only 9 months EMI option, sir.
Yes,
so
exactly.
Is there any option for a 3 years payment, sir? Like EMI?
No, in UAE it's not possible because see, we have to follow some regulations that are country specific, as I said. In India, when you are a citizen of India and you have the ID proof, and also here we have some education partners with us who allow us to split your EMIs for more than 10 months. But in UAE particularly, we do not have any such education partner that allows us to split your payment for more than 9 months. That is the maximum that they have allowed us. So in India, we have certain educational organization who help students to split their EMIs for even more than 2 years, 3 years. So it's totally dependent upon the partners that we have. In UAE, we have not found such a partner that will help us. So we are giving a maximum of 8 to 9 months. In India, yes. So I will give a very simple suggestion to you. If you want to do the program and you are in UAE, you can apply as a citizen of India. You have to submit your Indian ID cards and you can pay from your Indian account. And then you can easily split your payment into more than 2 years, 3 years. So it will not create a difference. You can stay in UAE and pay from India.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Ms. Vijaya.
Thank you, David. Hi, Omar.
Hi.
On your application form, there are four different, which program are you applying for, it says. My question is, the first one is UK level 6 teaching qualification with dual certification.
The second one is certificate in teaching. Third one is award in teaching.
Correct.
I mean, if I want to work in Dubai, then which one should I choose?
The first one, the pgctl program that Mr. David also mentioned, because this is the program that is recognized globally, and it's also accepted by KSDA. That is the main thing. When you get accepted by KSDA, that means you are eligible for teaching licenses or your teaching permit, and that is very important. So that is the first program, is the one that you have to check mark.
And who does certificate in teaching and who does award in teaching?
These are those people who just want to upskill. They are not planning to move to another countries. They just want to learn something new, learn something new about assessment and evaluation, learn something new about online strategies. So they are already doing good. They don't want to shift their jobs or their country. So these are upskilling programs. And the first one, it's a qualification, as Mr. David also said, it's a bachelor's level of qualification. So that is very important. That's the difference. And just for your knowledge, the second and the third program that you're talking about, they are also included in PGCTL.
Okay, now I get
it. And they would be what we commonly call CPD, Vijaya, which is a continuous professional development for teachers to upskill themselves, like Mr. Omar said.
Yeah.
All right,
thank you,
guys. I've had a very enjoyable session with you today. All right, I hope you've enjoyed it as much as I've enjoyed it. One of my team members will be sharing the presentation with you in PDF format so that you have access to all of the information that I've shared today. It's related to best practice. And if you want to learn more about applying this in the classroom, we'd love for you to join the PGCTL and be a learner at Suraasa. Thank you very, very much for joining us tonight, and have a great evening.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. David. Thank you, guys. All the best for your career.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Have a nice